ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 462 of the DrunkNerds podcast. Most as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What is up, buddy?
Oh, let me tell you, it's been one wild week for Gables. It started off this week with me simultaneously killing my modem.
I heard "mo," and I was worried you were gonna say "there," and I was like, "Oh, that's ain't good."
No. What happened was I unplugged something out of my surge protector, and came afterwards is my surge protector completely turned off while it was plugged in. I'm like, what the hell? Because I thought I had pressed the power button or whatsoever, but no, it kicked off when I unplugged something out of it, because I was trying to look for additional plug and stuff to plug into my dad's lift chair that he had to try to test out something. So when I went to do that, it pretty much turned off the freaking surge protector, and because of that power surge, completely fried the modem, and so I had to wait a couple of days in order to try to get that thing replaced. So this past Tuesday, it was the cable guy coming in, replacing the modem, and also replacing the router that I had with this Eero type router or something that's called.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's probably one of the best things that we could have possibly done, because the Wi-Fi and everything else is better than what it originally was.
There you go.
So that definitely was positive. On top of that, the work week, it was fairly fucking crazy. So let me tell you, it's even before the last week with people, the whole customer service things, you're gonna generally get a lot of people that are either acting nice or acting pretty goofy in regards to some stuff. We had a frequent thing this past week with a lot of druggies coming in and out of the store trying to do this and do that. It's getting kind of crazier than normal during this time of the year. I mean, come on, it's a holiday season, but inside of my area, they're trying to get this methadone clinic thing all completely built up, completely funded. Everything from one of the tribes that are up here. So it was something that was already decided upon before the people had a chance to vote on it. So on top of that, we're just having a lot more people that are under the influence or something like that, or just just a lot of addicts that are just coming into the town and stuff, and it's pretty much a bummer.
Yeah.
A lot of it is because they are frequently a lot of the usual stops and places by grocery stores, walking inside the stores. We had to literally kick one of them out and stuff because this dude was so high on his mind, out of his mind, he kept tossing stuff inside the store and this and that. But yeah, it was just definitely one of those crazy weeks. But thankfully today it was a calm day in comparison to how the week was progressively throughout.
Yeah.
Game-wise, man. I mean, I've been so busy that I've only had a chance maybe to play a couple of hours of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Definitely glad that I invested inside of that. Played a little bit before, we started up. But, yeah, that's pretty much how my week's been. How about you?
It's all right. More of the same. Just clanging and banging as always.
Yeah.
Calm before the storm. We do have Thanksgiving next week, and then week after that is when hell starts with the Cyber Monday and Black Friday deals. So work's gonna be nuts here, and then obviously as winter comes too, winter is coming.
4-day week for me.
No, you fucking bitch. I guess it's a 4-day week. I guess for me because I get Thursday off. But
dude, it's a split week where it's Tuesday, Wednesday, off Thursday, then on Friday and Saturday.
That sounds fantastic. I'd take that. I get Thursday off, but I get Saturday off, I guess too. But yeah, no. Other than that, I'm doing okay. As always, just surviving another week. Good news is though, Gables. Remember last year when I found Oktoberfest and I bought 100 bottles of them.
Yeah.
And then they all but half of them went bad because I don't drink enough anymore to do that. I kind of did it again. But this time I went to the store. So I don't remember if I told you off air on the podcast because podcast brain. As soon as I get done recording, I forget everything I just said.
Yeah.
Which is it's funny when you hear people say that until you record a podcast. You're like, No, that makes sense. I have no idea what I said on that podcast as soon as it's over. Um, anyways, the same store I went to last year, I found like a bunch of 12 packs. I bought like, I think there was like 6 12 packs. I just bought all of them. This year, so what's funny is that I saw them a couple weeks ago. They're still selling the summer seasonal beers. So I made a joke about, well, that means since the winter shit's coming out, that means they'll be getting Oktoberfest here soon. And I
Oh
said that
no.
semi jokingly, and I went there. They had 5 6 packs of Oktoberfest. So I bought all 5, but they're 6 packs. So I bought all 5 of them. So I have 60 Oktoberfest. Well, I drank 2. I'm on number 3 right now. But I was
Oh
very
my god.
depressed last week because I didn't realize it. Um, that when we recorded last week, I had 3 left, and I drank all 3 of them while recording with you, and I didn't realize it when I was drinking that last one until the next day. That I'm like, that was my last Oktoberfest. So I'm very happy to realize that I have, at least 60. I don't think I'm gonna buy any more because that'll last me probably at least the rest of the year for sure. Probably longer. It's like the 20th. Yeah, it should last me the rest of the year, at least till Game of the Year, because that's when we record like 19 podcasts in a night. I'll probably run out then. If I just keep it to 1 beer per show. Um, so that's a positive. That's definitely a positive
Oh
for me.
yeah, most
Um,
definitely.
yeah. So but that's there's ups and downs in the week, but that's definitely an up. I'll take that as there's about 5 6 packs, so that is 36. No, wait, I can't do the math. It's 30 beers. I have 30 Oktoberfest. Well, I'm on 3, so 27 more Oktoberfest. So that's 27 ups right there, Gables. I still got to look forward to. But other than that, doing okay. But Gables,
Yes.
we are not here to talk about my drinking habits. I don't want to say problem because it's definitely not a problem anymore. Uh, my tolerance might be a problem because it's shot anymore. But we were here to talk about some fucking goddamn video games, Gables, and
Yep.
let's talk about some goddamn video games. I want to
Hey.
start. I want to ask you, where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about the Xbox 20th anniversary stream? Do you want to talk about the Video Game Award nominees, or do you want to talk about how Bobby Kotick surprisingly is a bigger piece of shit than we already thought?
Oh my god, we have some options this week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and start off with the Xbox 20th anniversary, and let's go ahead and start right from the top.
All right, cool. So give me 1 second while I put a time code in here. Oh god, fucking goddamn computer. There we go. So, anyways, bear with me, people. I don't know why I talk out loud when I do this shit. So, Xbox on Monday was the November 15th was their 20th anniversary. They launched the initial Xbox. Easy for me to say. And celebrate that they actually had a 20th anniversary stream, and they announced this a while back, and we've talked about it. Where I think
Hmm.
they said they weren't announcing anything like new games or any new things like that. So it was like kind of like keep expectations in check. And then we talked about last week where there was rumors that they were going to announce that they were doing that there was a rumor that Halo Infinite multiplayer will be launching on Monday. Um, well, it turned out that happened, but some other cool shit happened. I think this is stuff that we all assume will happen. Will be there'll be more backwards compatibility stuff announced, and FPS boost would be coming. So some of the things they announced that they're doing an FPS boost for 26 titles. Games like it's all the Gears of War games, all the Fallout games, Elder
Yeah.
Scrolls, basically pretty much anything like all like the Bethesda games that they haven't done yet, and then like Gears. Where I tell us, but I was kind of surprised that Gears wasn't already in that list. But the other thing is they announced 76 new backwards compatible games from
Yep.
Xbox and Xbox 360 that are now available. But they also said that this was the last batch of this happening. Um, I don't want to obviously go through all 76, but
Let's just go ahead
some
and
of
highlight some of the more notable ones on
yeah. So
this.
I'm sharing the screen with Gable so you can see some stuff. So if you see something pointed out too, obviously first off, most importantly, 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, which is just
Yeah,
fantastic.
that is fucking surprising to me, but at the same point, that's awesome because
Yeah,
that's a cult classic game for
yeah.
a
I
lot of
remember that
people.
game actually. Like people were like, it's not like like it's like a really good for what you expect from a 50 Cent game.
Right.
Actually, like it's a really good 7 kind of game. Like 7 out of 10 was what I mean by that. So
Let's
50, but
see.
the
Yep.
downside of some of this here though is that some of these games are not like available to buy anymore.
True.
Um, so like 50 Cent Blood Sand, you can actually buy more because obviously like all licensing issues. For things like this, like I think THQ was the publisher for this one, and they're no longer the original people. THQ is no longer around. You have 50. You have to get 50 Cent, who I believe didn't he pass away last year? Or 50
Who?
Cent? Oh no no
No,
no.
no, no,
DMX
no.
passed away. DMX passed away
DMX
last
passed
year.
away, man.
I always
That's
mix those
decent.
two up in my head. Yeah. So anyways, um, but anyways, so like you have to like a lot of licensing issues. That's the issue with a lot of these games as well. And then obviously it's always the thing we hear about when you talk about like bringing back old games. Was like who owns the rights to it, and like if we do this, who gets the money when we do these things. That's the kind of thing you hear about when like PlayStation was like closing down stores. Was like they have to have all these open accounts, and it's like half the time it's like a lot of these companies that like they might have made one game and then went out of business. And it's like, well, someone might have bought their game. It's like, well, now we have this $2 we owe them, but we don't know who to give it to. Shit like that. So, anyways, moving on here. Binary Domain,
Yeah.
fucking awesome, goddamn game. It's Gears of War gameplay, but in a Terminator, like if they made a Terminator game out of it, and it's fucking incredible. But with some Mass Effect, like you can make decisions kind of game. That game is
Hmm.
awesome. Uh, I love that game. And I'm so happy. I mean, just give me a. I wish I was FPS boost because I'd totally buy that game and play through it again. I might just play through it again, buy it and play through it again, anyways.
Now look what we got.
Uh,
We also got a lot of the Dead or Alive games. Those
yep,
ones are
all the
fairly popular. On
yep,
top of that, yeah,
Ultimate 3 and 4. Can't forget Disney Universe in there, Chicken Little as well. The original Fear games, which 2 and 3, very good games. I remember playing at the time. I doubt they're good now, but I remember I went back and played Fear after I played Fear 2 because like Fear was like an early Xbox 360 game. Very bad game. And that was like 2009 when I played that game. But 2 and 3, surprisingly pretty good.
hmm,
3 was more of a, was like more of a shooter game, where 2 was like really good shooting and horror elements. Where
yeah.
Fear was just like a horror game. It was very Manhunt is in there. All the Max Payne games are in there. Max Payne 3,
Mm-hmm.
fucking awesome. Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat versus DC. Anything else sticking out to you on these Gables?
Well, let's see. We have some of the more popular like MX versus ATV games. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
The Oddworld Munch's Odyssey, that game that was a launch, I think, Xbox game.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see. We also had, let's see, Atogi 2, which is actually a From Software game. Let's see.
Hmm.
Nier.
Yep.
Nier is a game that is finally backwards compatible because that one was only on the PS3 back on that one, you know.
Yeah. This isn't the So this was so Near Replicant had the remaster that came out this year.
Yep.
That was the Japanese only Nier that came. This is the Nier that we got. So it was very. We only got one of the Niers, where Japan got the other two until this year. We finally got Near Replicant.
And so
Um,
this is like the
where
initial this is like the initial Nier game that we got all those years ago, like about 2010.
yeah,
But that's finally backwards compatible on Series X and S if
yeah,
that ever does
yeah,
come to like
and
Game
Xbox
Pass.
One.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Xbox One stuff.
Yep.
Let's see. Other games on this list. You had Red Dead Revolver.
That's
That's a
incredible.
classic.
Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. That game is. I beat that game, Gables, and I don't know why. I remember I rented it one time. I'm like, oh, I'll just give it a shot. I remember the reviews were bad. I'm like, it can't be that bad. I think this was before Resident Evil 6 too. So I'm like,
Oh
it can't be
God.
that bad. And it was bad. It was very bad. I, it's not as. I would argue the game is worse than Resident Evil 6, but the
Oh,
game is short enough. It's not. There's not 4 shitty campaigns. There's just one really shitty campaign. So that's like the key difference is that it's like a 4 hour game compared to a
oh
20
God.
25 hour game. Um, that game is very bad. It leans very heavily into the like the Gears of War style, but it's a
Dude.
cool premise of it takes place during Resident Evil 2, but you're playing as the Star team. They basically just try to do a Halo Reach of Resident Evil, where you play as the side team that's around during the original Halo game.
Yeah.
Uh, which is like Halo Reach, fantastic fucking game. Um, but it's kind of like that idea, but it's very bad. But what were you gonna say, Gibbles?
Well, I was gonna say that there are some other notable games inside of this. I mean, you have Ridge Racer 6, which I'm not too sure how good of quality that is, but hey, it's Ridge Racer. Let's see. Skate 2 is going to be finally backwards compatible again.
But they're shutting down the servers in like 4 months. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Is you're not going to really benefit up on the servers for the next couple months. But let's see. Other than that, though, you have some of the Star Wars games, which actually includes like an was it this does it include Knights of the Old Republic too? I wonder.
no, it's already. I think it's already. No, Nitro Kotar 2. I don't
KOTOR
know if
2.
that's already. I don't know if that's available already or not.
That's
Um,
that's something I need to look up a bit later. But I
yeah.
think the most notable ones on here is oh wait a minute, this is the other Viva Pinata game, Party Animals. That's pretty funny. Let's see.
That's the Mario Party ripoff, isn't it?
I think so. I'm not sure, but the most important games I see that are backwards compatible on here is Time Splitters 2 and Time
I was
Splitters
just
Future
say,
Perfect.
yeah, just in time for the reboot coming out here soon. I thought you were gonna say SpongeBob SquarePants Underpants Slam
Oh God.
or Truth or Square.
Oh Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
There's
So
Jedi.
I don't.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, Jedi. Oh yeah, you're right. Jedi. Okay. Yeah, we got like Star Wars Fighters,
Uh-huh.
Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Clone Wars, Jedi Knight 2. So I mean a pretty neglected group here. Um, I don't know. I mean, I know there's definitely people up there that are kind of disappointed in some of like the
Yeah.
things that got left out, but I mean, like, it's kind of like what I was saying at the top though. Is like, I mean, this was like, especially back then. Really, I would argue that. I mean, we still see like studios close nowadays, but it's like it's much different now, where usually someone buys them and then closes them, or they close and then someone buys their like IPs. Where like nowadays it's like these studios, like you're talking like 2000s and like the 90s and shit, where like or even like the 80s, where it's like they people pop up, make a couple games, go away forever. And it's like
Yep.
there's people that have love for these games, but it's like they've been bought and sold and ripped apart so many times that no one knows who has what anymore. And then if it's based off of another IP, it makes it that much worse. Or if there's music in there, it's like yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like for the most part, I mean, it's like if you want that game, it's most likely available. Obviously, it's like the Forzas or like the old like Maddens or I guess the old Maddens probably still backwards compatible. But like instead of like Football 14 would be like my preferred like would be my unicorn of like bring backwards compatibility because I still have multiple friends that keep a 360 around just to go back and they still play that game all
Yep.
the time. So like that would be like the ultimate thing. They probably could do it, but then you have to like own the disc. But it's like people talk about 50 Cent Blood and saying like the price of that thing is like incredibly high for like the disc copy of it. So
Oh man.
I don't know. I mean, what's your overall thoughts, Gables? Going back to like just the FPS boost and this final list of games.
I do like that this was something out of nowhere, quintessentially, because they were perfectly content. I felt back then, just discontinuing the backwards compatibility for all of this stuff. They actually Microsoft went through the extra effort in not only chasing after some of the licensing stuff with these games to bring them back onto this sort of backwards compatibility stuff, but on top of that, there are some noteworthy games that fans have been requesting, like from the Fear games to the Max Payne games, even to like the obscure ones, say like with Nier and stuff, and even Time Splitters 2 and Future Perfect and stuff, the DOA games. Those are the more notable ones on there. But on top of that, it is kind of disappointing. I can understand how some gamers are disappointed with this as well because there are other games that they probably couldn't be able to get the licensing of, or they couldn't reach it in the contractual thing in time. God, there's one game that sticks out of my mind. That one 360 game I own right here. I could even play at all backwards compatible. That's Eternal Sonata. That's like an
Yeah,
RPG that
that's a 360 exclusive too. That's weird.
it was a 360 exclusive, but you can technically play it on PS3.
Uh,
But the thing was, it's like that's a Bandai Namco game. Who knows? That could potentially be remastered at one point because, well, this is the age of doing remasters of games in the 2010s.
hmm.
But even though it is sort of disappointing for some aspects that people are not going to get the entirety of all the games that they want, at the same point, you're looking at over what 700 or so compatible games
Yeah, I
or
mean it's a
something.
pretty
Yeah,
yeah. I mean
it's a lot more than say what Sony has initially done with their backwards compatibility for
or
previous
Nintendo
games,
or
or
Nintendo.
Nintendo. I mean,
Yeah,
hell,
and
they
it's like and they're not even
outdo
charging you
Nintendo.
extra for this. Yeah, I mean like yeah, like if you already own these games, it's like it's even like yeah, like if you already own it, you could just pop the disc in.
Yeah, what a
Most
novel concept.
yeah. Yeah, right. Oh, you've already bought this one, so here you go. You just if you still own it, you can keep playing it.
that's that's
Or
part of the reason why that's part of the reason why a lot of gamers, including some of my coworkers and stuff, kept their PS3s and stuff because it's like they had multiple games and they didn't want to upgrade to PS4 because of that shit.
yeah, like I still got a PS3 and a copy of Metal Gear Solid 4 just in case I get the Jonesing. But I keep thinking about like Just it's on that PlayStation now. I'm tempted to just play it on there. But yeah, I mean, I think it. It's like I love that they're celebrating it. I know it's different than other anniversaries for PlayStation, Nintendo because this is the creation. Excuse me, I'm very burpy now. Uh, this is the creation of Xbox. This isn't it's a celebration of a console launch, but also a console and a video game. Like Xbox changed gaming as we know it. Like if it wasn't for Xbox pushed things forward, and they're still pushing things forward. I think they're still one of the best out there today. I mean, you look at just like what they've done with like online, what they've done with Game Pass. Pushing ahead first-person shooters on console. You name it. Like who knows where this generation would be without Xbox, and really kind of pushed gaming. I would say more so in North America than ever before. Because I don't know if who knows where a fucking Call of Duty would be without 360.
Yeah, really.
Like I would obviously be doing very fine, like very well, but like I mean, what made that game was fantastic without it, but what really made a lot of these games bigger, like Halo and whatever, was like party chat and just easily hopping on with your friends. Like that was like the game changer. Like online gaming, who knows where that thing would be on consoles without Xbox and Microsoft and The Rock.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's funny to think about. It's funny to think about, watching that presentation or parts of it and stuff, and you see The Rock front and center, like just advertising alongside Bill Gates and stuff, and the first
Yeah,
unveiling of the original Xbox, and then you see the presentation, you see like 20 some odd years later, and there's The Rock right there, just like going through this. There's like a limited painting or something of him with the
yeah,
original Xbox.
yeah. It's always cool. Like the water painting they did. Yeah, like I just love the celebration of it. And then when they did like when they had in Australia, I can't remember the Sydney Symphony. I can't remember like the big. I mean, everybody knows if you the big symphony on the water that they have. The auditorium they have on the water there. Like if you see it, but like them doing the fucking Halo orchestra.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even like Gables. I'm not even like we talk about. I'm not even a huge Halo guy. I enjoy the Halo games. I'm like I got like 2 missions left in 5 now. But I remember like I'm not like the biggest Halo guy, but like I got chills just listening. I got goosebumps and I got chills. I was watching it at work on my phone. And I was just like, oh my, this is beautiful. I love this. Like it was incredible. It's just like Thursday was the 20th anniversary of GameCube, and not even there wasn't even a tweet from Nintendo
No,
about it. Like
no, not
no
even at
acknowledgement.
all.
The 15th anniversary of the Wii was I think this week or last week.
Yeah.
Not even an acknowledgement of it. It's like I don't know. I mean, I understand the big difference between like the launch of your franchise, your IP, and the launch of a console, but it's like I don't know, celebrate a little bit. Like don't I don't know, show that you care, show that you love, and like let us know that you care about as much as we do. I don't know. It's a very small thing to complain about in the grand scheme of things, but like I just it's the thing I always thought about. Like so I was having a weird conversation with like the talking ship groups and kind of like I was making a joke around E3 time where I think of like kind of like almost single handedly like turned them into a pro Xbox a group again where like we were like 360, then like we all jumped to PS4, and then like I think we were all like a lot of us were like a lot of people were like either had a PS5 or trying to get a PS5, and then like raving about Game Pass and stuff like that. I think like as more and more people bought Xbox Series S's and X's and stuff like that. And it's just like, and it even went back about Xbox Ones, and it's just like it's been a very like pro Xbox thing where people were like going nuts about like really like, dogging on how bad PlayStation is right now. I'm like, no, they're doing really good still. They're doing very fine. Like, I would argue that like if like, I think the big difference is like we're very big on Xbox right now because the vibes are really good.
Yep.
Uh, Consumer happiness is at a very high right now. But when you
Yes.
break it, you look past just how like because they celebrate, they're like really big on celebrating gaming. But like you look at like my big thing was like you look at like Nintendo with Iwata and Reggie, like how like even during the Wii U era where like things were terrible, the vibes with like us, the hardcore Nintendo fans, very high because they were just fun. Like a lot of like the E3 fucking directs where you had like Reggie versus fucking Iwata and Smash. the puppets, Adult Swim stuff like they're just fun, having a good time with like direct like Iwata holding the banana and shit like that, like or even like PlayStation, before like Jim Ryan took over, when it was like very like you had like Andrew House, like you had all these faces and they were just having a good time, having fun, and it's like both PlayStation and Nintendo have gone away from that, but they're I mean they're 1 and 2 right now as far as consoles go, and like selling consoles and probably in like first party exclusives. But or with Xbox, it's like yeah, the vibes are better and the consumers are happier. Like it's the Game Pass is fucking the best deal in gaming. Um, there I got it in again. I gotta get it in once a week. Gables, you know that. But it's like that's just the big thing where it's like really like they're third, and it's not even really close right now that they're third. Um, but you can see the shit's coming on the horizon from Xbox. But it's like they're a third, but it's like we're just more happy with it because they're celebrating it, celebrating things in gaming. We see faces. We know who they are. We know Phil Spencer, Uncle Phil. It's just like I don't know. It's just like the vibes are better. That's what it really what comes down to. It's a stupid thing. I can understand a lot of people vibes or whatever, but vibes matter. Consumer happiness matters. And it's like you can argue like like a lot of people like especially me or like Nintendo. My consumer happiness with me not very low right now. PlayStation, like I love my PS5, but it's whatever. So I don't know. I just thought it was like a very weird week in the Talk Ship group where I was going. I felt like I was almost I was like I feel like this is what a PlayStation fanboy comes off as, but I'm like I'm not, because I'm like I'm not at all. Like people listen to this podcast a long time know I'm not. But let's move on to one of the other two topics. Gables, what do you want to do? You want to talk about Kotick being a piece of shit or Video Game Awards?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. Let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and pull the bull down by the horns. Let's go ahead and talk about Bobby Kotick.
All right, let's talk about how Bobby Kotick is a piece of shit more though than we already thought. So Wall Street Journal had a report come out, and the big thing when like you hear about these kind of things, like we had the big blockbuster report come out, I think from Bloomberg a few months ago, about the sexual harassment there. Like a woman killed herself because she was being harassed so bad.
Yeah.
Like a guy took like her boss brought sex toys on a work trip with her and then tried to have sex with her. People were passing around naked pictures of her. She killed herself on said work trip because of this. Uh, like a lot of CEOs and like, or not CEO, but like presidents and like lead management were like just awful to people, climbing underneath female coworkers' desk, just hanging out, drinking, playing video games, playing Call of Duty all day. And it sounded like all of us like initially were like it's a Blizzard issue. It sounded more like it was on the Blizzard side.
No.
Then like we talked about like some of the stuff they did, like they tried to reach a settlement with California, but California's like they reached an agreement with somebody, and then California's like, nope, we don't agree to this because they're gonna give him like an $18 million fine. Bobby Kotick, we just talked about a couple weeks ago, where he lowered his max. Basically, what he's gonna earn for the foreseeable future is $62,000 a year. He won't take any bonuses. He dropped his whatever his initial pay was, but like he's been making like the guy's damn near close to he's probably made about $1 billion in his time. So I mean, yeah, I mean millions are still millions, but he'll be fine. So some of the stuff coming out of this Wall Street Journal stuff is that the fact that there was in 2000, I think 8 or 9. I'll go. I'm gonna cut through. I'm just gonna read some of this articles, that way I'm not jumping around and trying to like. So Activision Blizzard received. Let's just kind of run through some of this here. So they received more than 500 reports from current and former employees alleging harassment, sexual assault, bullying, pay disparities, and other issues. This is from the lawsuit. One of the allegations is that a woman who worked for Sledgehammer Gamers, who's 1/3 of the Call of Duty people, is developer. Sledgehammer Games developers of the recent release Call of Duty Vanguard, was raped by her male supervisor multiple times. She apparently reported the incident to Human Resources, but received no action. She also reported to the police. The company settled with her out of court. Pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Awful. Who like just all around. I mean, awful. Dan Bunting, who was co-head of Treyarch Studios, people behind like Black Ops and stuff like that. He was accused of sexual harassment. Even Activision's Human Resources, which HR was maybe one of the biggest issues, part of this, where they were just ignoring a lot of these issues. Even they recommended that he be terminated. And this was about 8-9 years ago when this happened. According to sources, Kotick intervened and kept him on, and the company gave him counseling. Uh, but Bunting did leave. He did leave. He stepped down and left the company after reports came out. So Kotick knew about it. So I don't know if it's going to be in this article. I'm going to read through stuff. I'm going to jump back some other stuff here that, if in case it doesn't get covered. Kotick himself was reported to have harassed and threatened both a female assistant and a flight attendant on his private jet. He allegedly threatened to kill his assistant in a voicemail in 2006, which is actually true because it was from she sued him and the company,
Yep.
and he did actually. It's on a voicemail, so they had for fact it happened. Activision's spokesperson did not deny this word, but insisted he was speaking hyperbolically. Which he didn't say he was going to kill them. He said he was going to have them killed. I'm assuming he didn't mean it literally. He probably just was like very angry and said, I'll have someone kill you, or I'll kill you," which, a little more believable, but still shouldn't say to a coworker, especially when you're the CEO of a fucking company, to someone below you. That's just not a thing you should do. Even no matter the context, should be fired. Earlier this month, Jen O'Neill, one of the two people nominated to lead Blizzard. So when from J. Allen Brack, J. Allen Brack left the company. He was one of the worst offenders. He was the president of Blizzard. Jen and another guy, I can't remember his name. I'm not seeing it in here. They were made the co-presidents to run Blizzard after all this happened. So these two were promoted because of the allegations here. And as I go through this, it just blows my mind what happened. So last month, she announced she was leaving. She claimed I'm inspired by the passion of everyone here working towards meaningful, lasting change with their whole hearts. She did a very corporate answer, but however, reports claim that O'Neill is leaving in part because she feels no meaningful change is materializing at the company, saying in an email that it was clear that the company would never prioritize people the right way. So Activision Blizzard spokesperson did say we're disappointed with the Wall Street Journal's report, which presents an inaccurate and misleading view of Activision Blizzard and our CEO instances of sexual misconduct that are brought to the attention or acted upon. Kotick has since responded to the allegation in a statement calling report inaccurate and misleading view of the company, of me personally and my leadership. He went on to say, anyone who doubts my conviction to be the most welcoming and inclusive workplace doesn't really appreciate how important this is to me. We are moving forward with the new zero tolerance policy for inappropriate behavior. Zero means zero. Any reprehensible conduct is simply unacceptable. Yes, new. So here's an update here. So the board of directors, the board did say they do back Bobby Kotick. So a lot of issues here that they didn't cover in the story here. So I was talking about the Jen O'Neill. She was made co-president of Blizzard. So her and the other guy, she actually has been with the company longer and has more experience in the role. She was actually the president of Vicarious Visions before they were absorbed into Blizzard like 6 months ago. When they were promoted, they gave him, the other guy, the male counterpart, more money than her to do the same job when she has more experience. She points out, including the guy himself that was made. So he even said, "This is fucked up. You should pay her what you're paying me." They didn't do it, and then when she put a resignation in, then they offered her the increased pay, which obviously at that point she's like, "Fuck this, I'm done." So that was to show that they give a shit and they're doing something better. They still, like, it's the simplest thing in the world. You should just do this in general. If you're having two people do the exact same job, and they're on equal footing as far as just say equal for experience, and especially when the female has more experience, has been doing the job longer. But if just say equal, they should be making the same amount of money. They did not give her. We don't know what the pay difference is. Did not give her the same amount of money. There was the big Franz Townsend email that happened when the initial report came out about this, denying it and calling it all fake news bullshit. And everybody ripped Franz Townsend for it, but she's still a piece of shit. When she was like tweeting bullshit about the employees, she was like basically one of the right hands of Bobby Kotick. Come to find out, Bobby Kotick wrote that email himself and made her send the email under her name. So
yeah,
wow. Like I said, all the issues with him threatening to kill somebody. Also, there was a flight attendant on his private jet that was sexually harassed by one of the people on the plane that worked for the company. She reported it to Bobby on the plane, um, and then was actually when she reported to the company that she worked for, they had her fired. Well, shortly thereafter was fired, and then she's tried to sue both companies, Bobby Kotick, Activision, and the said company that she was working for. And going into the trial, Bobby Kotick says, "I'm going to destroy you." Um, it's just, it is baffling that they just, there's so many layups they had here they could have done to just the bare minimum here of things you can do to make things better, and just they didn't do it. They fundamentally fails at every single step, and they have this zero tolerance policy, which should just be a thing in general. Like every job I have right now, there's a zero tolerance policy on harassment, whether it's sexual or not, just harassment. Uh, any like just there's like if I harassed a male counterpart just physically or like threatened them, I would be fired. Like, and then they retroactively did this zero tolerance policy to other people. They've like let go over 40 people, or 40 people have left. And some reason the zero tolerance policy is counted against them, but apparently not Bobby Kotick. The board has backed him, but the board is all white males except for two people on the board. They did have a walkout. This is the second or third walkout that Activision and Blizzard employees have had since the reports have come out, boycotting the shit that's going on here. There's about, I think, around 8,000 people that work for Activision Blizzard and King. And as of Thursday afternoon, over 1,200 of those employees have signed a letter saying that Bobby Kotick should step down. That doesn't, not saying that doesn't mean 6,800 think he should have his job. That's just who signed it at this point, and probably people don't want to like just scared to be acted against for this. Um, it's just terrible. It's just awful that this is happening, and that they're like, it's very obvious that they're just trying to do the bare minimum, or just do the like not even do the bare minimum here, but just act like they're doing the bare minimum to give the illusion that they're doing the bare minimum, um, and hope this shit just blows over. And it's just baffling that like I said, they're just stepping on rakes, Gables. And it's not even like the rakes are on the ground they're stepping on. They're putting the rakes on the ground and then stepping on them and bashing them. It's that fucking Simpsons gif. It's just every time he turns around, he just steps another rake. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. What's your thoughts on all this, Gables?
The abuse of power has been prevalent inside of Activision Blizzard for years in regards to the structure of its leadership through Bobby Kotick, through his leaders that have been corresponding with this shit. I mean, we've hit not even like the lower ends of this stuff. This is like the cherry on top of everything, where it's like we learned quintessentially how terrible things have been for Activision Blizzard employees, to the subsequent layoffs for like Bobby Kotick reaping the benefits from that for the company standard in that regards last year, to simultaneous multiple like sexual harassment allegations, multiple this and that, just the multiple terms of like just lack of humanity in regards to this, the lack of morality in general in a lot of this shit, where a lot of these workers deserve the bare minimum in regards to at least having a comparable workplace where they can go do their job and like not having to fear a lot of this repercussions or fear a lot of this like shit happening to them. But this is without a shadow of the doubt the worst I've ever heard of like a video game company in general coming out with all of this stuff just being unveiled and stuff. This is irreparable damage to Activision
Mm.
Blizzard on like a grand scale, even more so. If that's the thing, Bobby Kotick, he has to be fired for this damn shit. I mean, at the bare minimum, he has to be out of the picture for this stuff, because now even coming into the limelight, you have other companies, other heads from other gaming companies, like say with Microsoft, with Phil Spencer, with
Yeah,
Jim Ryan from PlayStation, have gone on
yeah,
record and
great
just, and
points.
just bashing, like just bashing Bobby Kotick, just being just overly disappointed in terms of like that shit. And even from like a business perspective from Activision Blizzard, it's like you got the heads of like both of the major distributors of your games saying this about your CEO of your company right at the moment in time. It's like if they even want to stay afloat for the next year, they got to make major structural changes inside there, because not only do you have a toxic workplace where workers are even scared to even voice their opinions or voice like concern in regards without getting reprimanded or getting some sort of abuse thrown their way, but you have this fucking sleazebag that's been in power for way too long, that is incapable of being a competent leader because of his abuse of power. Is just straight up. It's a straight up corporate abuse in the highest grand scale, to where he has neglect of human life or to support his own benefit, his own pay accounts and stuff. And God, whenever I even hear or even like read some of the paraphrasings, especially coming out this past couple weeks, where he's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm doing this, and that in regards to doing that stuff." It's like this whole thing about the zero tolerance, this new zero tolerance policy. Is like, motherfucker, you've had these zero tolerance policies in place, and you fucking have neglected them on a basic
Mm-hmm.
level. There is no going back for you. You are not going to be fucking hiding behind your shield of money and your fucking things of cigars and all this other bullshit. You have to face your own fucking demons in this regards. You are nothing more than a piece of shit corporate shill that has done nothing but cause misery in the lives of dozens, if not thousands, of your workers, past, present, and whatever the hell you are probably going to try to do some in the future. Which, quite honestly, even if he goes off into like another foray, if he does get fired and stuff like that, that type of black cloud, that type of like large luminous black cloud or something like that over this dude, it's going to be so much to where every other type of job opportunities, they're going to look at that as like, hey, do I want my company lit up by some dude that's going to go through and ignore just the basic fundamentals of humanity in order to try to like get some few bucks here or there? It's just incredibly disheartening. I
Mm-hmm.
feel very terribly in regards to like the workers that had to endure this shit throughout this entirety of this past year, even decades. I mean, this spans back more than like 15 years at this point. there's there is absolutely no excuse. There, God, even like people that were like in leadership positions that have gone to other companies and stuff that used to work for Activision are stepping down, or just even if their names are being tossed in the limelight, are just resigning and stuff. They know the systemic thing of how much abuse that was thrown on there, and a lot of them even participated or ignored it. They let it go
Mm-hmm.
on because of repercussion stuff. So whatever happens next, it's like I hope that Kotick is taken down beyond a shadow of a doubt. Either he gets taken down or the entirety of Activision Blizzard, something majorly happens with that company, because this fucking thing has to stop.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, like Jen O'Neill, even like, in her email she sent that leaked, she said to them like, you have tokenized me. Basically, I mean, it's just what you think when you think the worst kind of thing. They just hired her to put a female
They
in
did.
that position, and what, she very much deserves that position because she did a very awesome job of Vicarious Visions. She
No
was
shit.
fantastic at that job. That company was awesome. People loved it for all the things they've done.
And they fucking
Um,
killed it.
and they killed it. Yeah, and she very much deserves to have a job like that. And I hope she finds there a job. But like it's just awful, um, what they've done and they're continuing to do. And it's just it's always like it's just like it's there's that initial report. It's always the report afterwards. Usually that the reports or even the reports afterwards that come out, the worst of it comes out, and that's kind of something we've seen like there was that initial one that was awful, and then we've seen multiple ones since then. But it's just like the fact that like now we're coming out to find out like not only we know for a fact pretty much now that he knows after he said he didn't know, um, but also that he has multiple allegations against him personally. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these acts aren't just like internal issues. They're like legal issues. Like women being raped, like a woman killing herself because she was shamed by multiple employees
The
passing around nudes
darkest
of her.
shit imaginable. Just
Yeah, like that enough should be, I said it back then. I didn't think it was gonna happen, but it should have happened. Um, I mean, I maybe it's just like some hope in me, but I feel like this has to be it for him. And you can argue, like, even if you just look at the business side of it, like, I mean, there's a lot, all the thing shareholders care about and the board cares about is they love Bobby Kotick because he's made him a lot of money. They made them a lot of money. But, I mean, if you want to look at the business side of it, Activision's probably the worst it's been in a little while, quite a while now, where
absolutely.
you can look, even before all these allegations happened, not even allegations, all these awful things came to light about this place. Um, you look at, I mean, Blizzard, World of Warcraft was in a really bad spot with Warcraft 3 last year was awful. All the World of Warcraft, the people were mad about the last expansion they did. It was at the point where the fans of World of Warcraft and the developers of World of Warcraft all hated each other,
Yep.
and still do. Final Fantasy 14 is bigger for the first time in decades. There's a MMO that's bigger than World of Warcraft now because they've all gone to Final Fantasy 14. Um, they essentially killed Overwatch, which was one of the five biggest games in gaming a few years ago,
And its
to make
sequel,
Overwatch 2.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
delayed for at least another three
yeah,
years.
and it was supposed to be a 2020 game, and now it's going to be a 2023 maybe game. Same with Diablo 4. We had the issues with the BlizzCon where everybody was like, "Is this a fucking April Fool's joke?" Where they announced a Diablo mobile game, which still has not come out yet, by the way. I don't think anybody really wants that. You look at all of these. You just talking about Vicarious Visions. What you talking about? They brought Crash back. They brought Tony Hawk back. We got a Crash 4. People love them. They sold very well. They killed those companies. They're dead.
Yep.
They're now absorbed into. They're just making more Call of Duty. They're making a second Call of Duty mobile game. Everything is all about supporting Call of Duty. Um, Blizzard is a shadow of its former self.
Yep.
They've killed off. They had two of the biggest IPs in gaming, World of Warcraft and Overwatch a few years ago, and now they've killed those off. Essentially, World of Warcraft just by their own um, bad management, and then Overwatch by we're gonna have the sequel out next year. Oh wait, no, it's gonna be 4 years. Um,
You can even
and
make
with
the argument in terms of like say Call of Duty Vanguard too, that's coming out
yeah,
right here
yeah,
because you've heard next I haven't heard any type of like hardly any type of advertisements for that stuff. And even on certain storefronts right now, even like the digital storefronts, they are taking away advertisements for this game and stuff. So
yeah.
it's
And I mean,
substantial.
yeah, I mean, you can understand like going back to the whole PlayStation and Xbox, like they're the they're they are partners with them, and PlayStation more so, where they have a publishing partnership with them with advertisement, like they're giving them money to advertise their games on their. So when they advertise Call of Duty, they advertise PlayStation with it. Like they're giving and getting exclusive content on PlayStation, and it's like you can understand why they're pissed off. It makes them look. They don't want that attached to them, and they're obviously never gonna like Xbox and PlayStation are never gonna pull their games off their storefronts. I mean, if they did that, then people would just be more gamers would be more pissed off at PlayStation and Xbox than they would be at Activision. That's just facts. It'd just be like it would be kind of what who made Cyberpunk?
Oh, it'd be like CD
Project
Project
Red.
Red.
Yeah, CD Project, where they try to make uh, their customers mad at PlayStation and Xbox. Whereas like, well, Xbox, PlayStation, are like, well, fuck you, and then PlayStation pulled their shit because of that. I don't think that's gonna happen in this case because, I mean, it's the highest selling games, and it's just gamers would just be mad at them if they pulled them,
Yeah, I wouldn't
more so than
see
anything
I
else.
wouldn't see like Sony or Microsoft pulling any of the Activision Blizzard games off their storefronts unless something substantial were to actually go into place.
Yeah.
If those two companies were serious enough, they would do that if like certain conditions are not met for them. I mean, hell.
Mm. Well, it's like like this is just based off UK, but the it was the worst launch for a Call of Duty game since World at no Call of Duty 3 in 2006.
Wow. That's
So
before the fucking revolution of like modern warfare.
before modern, yeah, before Call of Duty 4. So this is the basically of the modern, no pun intended, Call of Duty games, 2007 on, it's the worst selling one, or at least worst launch one. And that's just UK, but I know it's a much smaller scale compared to the United States, but yeah, that's gotta say something. And it's still gonna be the highest selling game of the year for no doubt. But yeah, yeah, just, I just what I mean. Like, obviously, more importantly is how the people are being treated. But like, you can argue that like this is just me like finding more and more reasons, building up, stacking more cars. Where like the boards would be more concerned about that side than they would the way that people are being treated side. Because like, well, this guy like that did this awesome job making us all this money. Well, now it's like we're seeing like the house of cards fall down on the business side, and you see the stock had a massive dip, I think a 10% dip the day after all this stuff came out. So yeah, I don't know. I just hope that I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. They did announce all Activision Blizzard and King employees are off next week, so they gave them
Okay.
that, I guess. I'm assuming they knew this was coming, so they probably to like get ahead of it. They announced Bobby Kotick taking the giant pay cut, and then also giving all their employees a week off, which hey, that's awesome.
Oh,
Good
they're
for them, I
trying to
guess. But
sugarcoat things. That's what
yeah,
they're
they're just.
doing.
But hey, like unfortunately, it's just kind of sad that like a lot of terrible, shitty things and decades of bullshit have to happen to get positive things. But unfortunately, that's just I guess good crumbles, and I hope that before the end of the year he's gone.
All right.
But moving on, Gables to let's getting some fun times here,
All
Gables.
right. Sounds fun to me.
Um, let's talk about some game award nominations.
All right.
So we have all the categories here. That'd be fun to kind of go through some. I want to go
Okay.
back. I want to see if I can. So I thought like we usually go through it year by year. I thought it'd be kind of fun to. There are 30 categories where I can go through all of them, obviously because a lot of them are like esports and stuff. But I think it'd be kind of fun that Gables we go through each one, kind of look at them, and then maybe we kind of vote on what
All
we
right.
think um,
I'm game.
might win, and then we're gonna vote. I'm logged into our Drunk Nerds Twitter account, and we will vote on who we think will win, not who we want to win, but who we think will win. So let's start here with most anticipated game here.
Okay.
So all right, most anticipated game for 20. These are games coming out in 20 scheduled to come out in 2022. So we have. We could talk about what our thoughts are individually, and then like if there's whatever, if you want to say what yours is or whatever, that's fine. So we got Elden Ring, God of War, Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Breath of the Wild 2, and Starfield. What do you think will win?
Holy shit.
Right? This is just the top 5.
This is the top 5 for games that are anticipated for next year. That blows my mind just seeing that leveled like this. God, Tyler, this is like one of those situations where like
Gables, I have an idea.
What?
I have an idea. Why don't we come back to this later?
Okay.
We'll make it its own separate podcast. I feel like we're gonna spend a long time on this one.
I get the feeling that we will be spending a long time on this because
okay.
It's like, even from looking at the most anticipated game list.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to this one. So check back in a few days, and we'll have an extra special podcast for you guys. I'm glad I thought, because I'm like, we're gonna spend like an hour on that alone, and we're already 50 minutes into the episode. So let's move on here, Gables, to some of our quick hitters for the week. Sorry for that, guys. But we had a rant about Bobby Kotick being a piece of shit. So let's move on here to some quick hitters here. So first up, Saints Row is delayed. It was supposed to come out March 25th, I believe was the original date. It is now delayed to August 26th of 2022. I don't know how much to say about that. Cyberpunk, Nintendo, Shigeru Miyamoto's quote about delayed games being good eventually, and COVID. What about you, Gables?
Yeah, this game needed to be delayed some bits in order to work out a lot of kinks. The concept didn't thrill a lot of people, but yeah, more delays and stuff like that, or just delays in general to help improve the game's quality is always a good thing.
Yeah, and obviously we've been talking about a lot. The first quarter of next year is nuts.
Yeah.
We're basically from the end of January to the beginning of April. It's just a fucking blitz of goddamn games. So just getting, even if your game's gonna be ready, just getting out of there, probably a good idea. Multiversus Gables is a real thing now. We know
Yep.
about it. Um, it was officially announced. It's coming in 2022. There are going to be some tests you can get into. You can sign up for. I don't know if they're going on yet or when they're going to happen, but you can sign up to become eligible to get into them. It's coming to everything. There's going to be. They announced they're going to have like top of the line online to work for it, which is important. It is a like kind of a 2v2 like co-op Smash Brothers like fighting game where you have like Batman, you have Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, Superman. It's like he's got Scooby Doo characters. You got um, fuck, I don't know. Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, like a ton of characters. They haven't shown up a lot yet, but we know they're gonna add. This is a free to play game. They're gonna be adding more. It's gonna be skins, so I imagine it's gonna be like there's set characters at launch. You could buy additional characters later, and you could buy skins. I imagine will be the thing of it. But I gotta say, Gibbles, like, and like what's really cool is they announced that, like they're having a lot of like the original voice actors for these characters, and
Yep.
even like the actors that played them in live action. I can't remember. Fuck, I always forget his name. Matthew Lillard, who played Shaggy in the live action Scooby Doo, is
Okay.
playing the voice of Shaggy. Arya Stark, who is played by Maisie Williams, will be doing the voice for that. Kevin Conroy is fucking Batman. Like they've got a lot of the original characters back, or a lot of the original actors back to do the voices for these. Um, I don't know. I kind of like the art style is kind of cute. Um, and I don't know. I think it might be kind of a fun. I think this could be a fun little thing to jump into. I don't know if how I feel about the 2v2 shit. I almost wish that like they would just go all in on the copying Smash Brothers thing and just have it 1v1 or 4 player Smash,
Yeah,
shit like
really.
that. Like instead, like I don't know how the 2v2 shit's gonna work, but I don't know. I mean, Gables, what was your thoughts on it?
I thought it was kind of funny just watching the initial reveal trailer because this is definitely going to be one of those games where it's going to be filled with a lot of good meme stuff because of the inclusion of the play upon Ultra Instinct Shaggy, that meme.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
so funny just seeing the reveal and all of a sudden you just see Shaggy just powering up like a fucking Super Saiyan. Oh no. Yeah, they went there. And honestly, it's probably for the best of reasons too. It's going to get more people excited to not only play that game, but also to invest in a lot of cosmetics into Shaggy.
Yeah. And they had like Shaggy and one of the clips was like in a Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat outfit. So
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
it's incredible. So this is all like WB based IPs. And if you look at Gables, they own a lot of IPs. It is
Absolutely they do.
nuts. Like they can like Gandalf is in this game. Like they have Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, fucking Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Basically anything DC or anything on HBO is theirs. DC, fucking Lord of the Rings, like I said, Harry Potter. Like they have basically if Disney doesn't own them, they probably own them. So there's a lot of shit they can do with this, and like a lot of like older IPs that you probably haven't thought about in a long time. So I don't know. I heard Timur from GameSpot was like going crazy about like they can put his favorite movie of all time is Demolition Man, which is a great movie. And he was going nuts about please put fucking Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone in this game.
Oh
So
shit.
I just thought that was like the most wholesome thing ever. I'm like, you know what?
That
I'd
is
be
so
fucking
good.
down. Let's fucking do it. Like, let's just put them all in there. I
Oh.
eventually, if this thing is successful, they'll eventually have to because they'll run out of things to do. But
They're just gonna be putting a lot of random like Warner Brothers movies characters like inside there from like the dudes from like freaking Demolition Man to who the fuck knows what else.
Running Man, who fucking knows? Well, we're
Oh.
gonna have like every variation of Sylvester Stallone ever. Will be in this somehow. We'll have Running Man, Sylvester Stallone, fucking
They're just gonna put in the Goonies.
Expendables. Oh man, I don't know if they own the Goonies, but if they do, fucking yeah, let's go. Give me
No,
goddamn
E.T.
chunk.
Fucking put in
Oh
E.T.
my god. God damn. I want to go through and like look at the list of things that like IPs they own so I could just
Could
and just
just
like think. Oh my god.
I could just see this right now, man. It's like the final smash of fucking E.T. is just like Ellie just riding the bicycle over the moon.
I figure it'd be more so like they're like putting Reese's Pieces down, leading him into a hut, and then just fucking him up in the hut.
Oh,
That's what I'm
just
thinking.
throwing Reese's Pieces.
Ouch. Jesus. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm surprisingly like more interested in this than I thought I would be. Like I thought if anything, I'd be interested in like this is gonna be so bad, I want to check it out thing. But I'm actually like, this looks like it could be kind of cool, and I want to give it a shot. And it's free to play, so who knows? Um, Jumping into our last quick hitter here, Rockstar did apologize for the GTA Definitive Edition um, of the trilogy that came out. Obviously, it's broken and buggy on everything, but especially PC. They actually, like we talked about last week, at that point when we recorded last week, it was still down. They did bring it up, bring it back to play and buy. I think on Monday. So it was down for like 3 days. The GTA trilogy was. They're bringing a patch here soon. They did also say that they're bringing back the original GTA trilogy games. You can buy the original versions of them again, which is something that's awesome. It's unfortunate that it happened this way to get them back. But if you want to play those games in their better version, you can play the original version,
There you go.
which is crazy to think that they put out the definitive version and it was worse than the original. Um, but yeah, they said they're going to work on their patches coming. Hopefully, have it fixed here soon. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is. I mean, this is. I don't want to like people are calling this the Cyberpunk of 2021. It's not that. I mean, I guess it's the closest scenario to that. But this wasn't. These were not like these weren't games we didn't know about until a month ago. So this wasn't a game like Cyberpunk was a game we were like people were anticipating and building up for 9 years. These are games that we a trilogy definitive edition we learned about a month ago, and are games from 15, 20 years ago. So I don't
Hmm.
feel like it's that case, but like I understand people are upset, especially pulling the original versions down and then pulling it off PC where you couldn't even play them at for like the first weekend they're out, you can't even play them. The Switch port I heard is fucking awful. And then like some of the things we found out was they literally just they remastered the mobile ports of these and not even like the console versions of these, which is nuts. Then we heard about like obviously like they had like the hot coffee thing that was actually in there, which is nuts to think about because like that whole thing cost them $20 million. You would think you can do extra special care to make sure it's not in there. Just a lot of issues here, but I feel like they're doing the best they can to make good. And they even said that people that bought this on PC, if you bought the trilogy on PC, they're giving you on the Rockstar launcher the original trilogy games for free. So you can play the original versions of those games on Rockstar for free. So it's, it's something, I guess. And I feel like they're doing I mean, they're not making up for it. There's no making up for this, but the best they can do with the circumstances they put themselves into. What about you, Gills?
Yeah, it's pretty much something. All right. I mean, yeah, I understand they're owning up to their mistakes and doing that. At least they're going to go through and update the games, and at least they're giving the options to play the original games that they
Yeah,
took down. I mean, that is something, but
yeah. I
that,
feel like you kind of have to though when you put out a worse version of them. You got to
yeah,
put out the better versions. So, yeah,
no Warcraft 3 situation.
yeah, yeah. So at least they can. Yeah, yeah, it's true. But Gills, let's jump into what we've been playing here. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first, buddy?
Go first. You
Okay.
go first.
All right. So I've been playing a few things here. So I'm sorry, I'm typing and talking at the same time. So one of the things I did play is I beat a game. I started another game. I started two games, but one's infinite. Um, I'll talk about the game I did beat. I finally played the Dark Pictures Anthology House of Ashes. Quick little run back on this. These are the games from Until Dawn people. Oh, I could see super massive games. There it is. I had the logo on mine. I was trying to figure out the word. Super massive game. So they made the Until Dawn, which I loved. It was like I think my number 2 game of the year. It came out in 2014. I want to say. Um, and they've had a few of these since then. Like this is the third one they've done. They've had like this deal with Bandai Namco where they're making a game a year for I think it's 8 years. Um, and they had Man of Medan in 2019, and it was fine. They're definitely working on a faster timeline and a lower budget, which I mean was to be expected. These games are also $30, where Until Dawn was a full $6 game. So obviously you got to take it with what it is there. I thought Man of Medan was fine. It wasn't bad, but it was fine. Like it was probably like a 6.57 game where like I enjoyed it, but it wasn't great. I didn't regret the purchase, but it was kind of like play it, beat it, never think about it again. They had Little Hope last year, which I thought was like I talked about last year. I thought was a good improvement. I thought once it got going, it got very good. But it was very much still like it was an improvement, but it's still like a 7.5 out of 10 style game. You know, we're like still it's improvement. We're really on the right path. And then this one House of Ashes came out, and when I like whenever you beat the original, when you beat that year's game, after the credits, they'd give you a teaser trailer for the next year's game. Um, and they did this last year, and I was like, I don't know, this is weird. So it's actually like, and we learn more about it obviously throughout the year. So House of Ashes is takes place in 2003, where we just invaded Iraq. We were playing as mostly American soldiers. This is still we haven't been in Iraq very long. But things are still at a high level as far as people are very pissed off at Iraq, which at the time, obviously, fair to feel that way. But obviously, as we learn along the line, maybe not so much. So like basically, what they're doing is they're trying to figure out. They think they found out where Saddam is keeping, the nuclear weapons, which obviously we eventually found out didn't actually have any. Um, so they think they've figured out where he's hiding them at. So each game usually takes about 4 or 5 hours to beat, and this one about the same 4.5, 5 hours for me. Um, the biggest issue with this, it takes a little while to get going. I'd say the first 45, 50 minutes is rather boring. It's more so building up characters. So in this one, each one you play as multiple characters. You jump through them. It's more about just QTE. You're watching cutscenes, and then boom, you got to do something real fast. Or you got to make decisions. You got a short amount of time to make decisions. And you have like Eric, who is like he's like the lieutenant or I can't remember. He's basically the lead guy. He thinks he found them. And he had like this team with them. One of them is his wife that they're kind of estranged right now. I can't remember her name. I think it's Rachel. Rachel, yes. But she leads the unit, and then he comes in, and they haven't been together for over a year. This is all the very first opening, like 15, 20 minutes. I'm not really spoiling much here. But they were estranged, and she's actually been dating one of the people in the unit with her. But they're still technically married, but they're not really together anymore. And I can't remember the rest of the names of the people. So Jason, he is like the stereotypical hoorah Marine guy. He hates our Iraqis. He's just like a lot of American men at that point where they're just pissed off and they want to go there and get revenge kind of thing. And then you play as, I can't remember the name, the guy that Rachel's sleeping with. I can't remember his name. But he is, he's kind of like, he's in the war, but he's dealing with a lot of like, I want to say like PTSD kind of stuff where he's suffering from like some shit happened and he's struggling dealing with all the things that's going on there. Like where he's like very conflicted with what's happening here in Iraq. And then you play as another guy, Shaheem, I think is his name, who's actually an Iraqi soldier who was forced, because Iraqi soldiers were forced into this war. He doesn't have any issues with the Americans, like most Iraqis. He doesn't really want to be in the war. He just wants to raise his son and be left alone, kind of thing. And basically, they go to this place, and a shootout happens, and then this earthquake style thing, the ground like breaks underneath them, and they all fall into this cavern. Sorry for the long story to get to this part here, but like the first 40, like before you get there, it's pretty boring, honestly. It's more just about building up characters and stuff like that. But once you get down into like the cavern and the depth, like this game is really, really, really good. Like this isn't Until Dawn good, but I feel like this is like we have built, like we've been incrementally getting closer and closer to that level, and I feel like this is the closest they've gotten with House of Ashes. Getting down there, basically what's going on is like there's these enemies that are like these monsters that like are fucking people up, and they've been living down here for centuries. There's like a little thing at the beginning where you find out like in the Egyptian era, like like when when Egypt basically ruled the whole area, 5000 BC, that these creatures were there and they killed a lot of people. They've been around for centuries and millennias, and like just getting down in there and just like it's so hard to talk. These games are hard to talk about without like spoiling things, but like I feel like have finally like I hope this is like continues because I feel like the next game or two they will match Until Dawn, and like I love it. Where like it's more so like what's cool is like there's like little because you jump around between the five. This is the first time ever I beat one of their games where all my characters survived too. I couldn't believe it. I actually like all my I always lose one. Every single game I've lost just one. Um, it's always like a dumb decision. I thought I fucked up at the beginning. Turned out it didn't actually fuck me. But it would have made things easier if I did make that decision. But man, once you get down there and like building up these relationships with these characters and like what's I think what's really cool is like it's not so much about the decisions you make at that point, like right then and there, that will fuck you. It's like decisions you make throughout the game will lead to things that will happen later that you have no control of, but you have no control of in that point. But the things you did earlier will make the decision at that point. So like, depending on how Eric feels about this character now could lead to that character dying or not. Like whether or not he wants to do this or that, abandons them or helps them or whatever. Like like it's so cool and it's like it's so interesting when after I beat the game I went and looked at the trophies to kind of see like what like you get trophies based off of some of the decisions you make, things that happen. And I was like reading something like holy shit, like I don't how the fuck did we get to like did we get there? Like how did that happen? Like because normally it's like oh you did A instead of B. So if you want to get all the trophies, you can just go back and do B instead of A. And this is like I don't even know how the fuck like that is drastically different than anything I did here. Like I didn't even know that was an option. Like it's so cool. Like there's so many like the decisions you make in the game, like so many like like you always see the butterfly effect kind of thing. That will like there's so many like small things that will make big drastic changes later. And I really like that. And I think the characters are better. I think Eric the actor is very bad. I don't like him. Like he's very monotone at all points in times. Like kind of a minor spoiler, you can tell him whether or not if as Rachel you can tell him whether or not he's like seeing somebody else, and like I decided to tell him that, and like his like expression and voice did not change. He like I'm like did like was like everybody else acting around him, and then the guy they didn't hire the actor yet, or maybe he just called in sick that day, so they had a guy just do his read his thing for him until, and then have is like we'll have him come in later and read his lines, and we'll fix that later. Don't worry, you're just a stand-in for now. And then like, well, we don't have time now. Just fuck it. He's the actor now, and like we'll just run with it. Like, he's very bad, but I ended up liking all the characters. I like the story. I love Jason ended up being one of my favorite characters in the game. The guy that was like very hoorah. I hate Iraqis. Like he ended up like at least my Jason, the way he came out, I ended up loving him and like his big twist later on in the game. But yeah, I mean, this game is utterly fantastic. I loved it. Big 2 thumbs up for me. If you like the Until Dawn games and maybe you didn't like Man of Medan or Little Hope, or you just didn't touch them because you heard them or they weren't great, I feel like this is a very good jumping point. It's only $30. I've seen it for Black Friday. I think it's around $20 now. So I highly recommend jumping into this now because it's very good. Another thing I jumped into, we talked about earlier, Halo Infinite multiplayer. I jumped in that, playing that. Like 3 hours in. It's very good. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm very good at Oddball, which is a really fun game to play where people don't know. Basically,
Oddball.
yeah. So Gables knows. So basically, Oddball is you're fighting over this one ball in the game, and you gotta hold it, and you gotta hold it for 100 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody in your team has to hold it. And for every second, you gotta get to 100 points. 1 second equals 1 point. But while you hold the ball, you can't do anything. You can melee. That's all you can do. And you can't run either. But I'm never good at shooter games because I'm not very good at like the shooting. But I've always been pretty good at like games where it has objectives outside of like KD ratios. Like in Call of Duty Black Ops, when I used to play with my friends all the time, like I put like 5-6 days of gameplay into it. I was always good at fucking the like what's the capture one? We gotta capture the like A B like Bravo and A B and Alpha and shit like that. But that
Hmm.
one we gotta capture
Oh,
like the
control.
command point.
Okay.
Control, yeah. I was always awesome at control because I was really good at like sneaking around and like taking over. Like I was like always like getting like the highest points because I was really good at stealing and taking over bases and shit like that. I was like and just surviving long enough to take over. And like I always did really good at that. Oddball, I do a really good job of that. And like there's like one level I play in. I don't know the name of the level, but it's like the level you play in the tutorial. You don't have to do the tutorial, but I did it. Um, and there's a level like and there's like this big platform, but it's a circle. And I'm really good at like I get the ball, and if I can get to that circle, I'm really good at just like avoiding people. So I'm just running in a circle of like and like juking like people like running in the circle. I have a video. I sent it to you, Gables. And I posted it on like a talk ship group.
Okay.
But it just happened earlier today where I was running in the circle avoiding this guy for a solid 25 seconds. He just couldn't get to me, and like I just got, like he eventually killed me because they always do. But it was just very funny. It was like, but it's always best 2 out of 3. I'm very good at that game. I'm terrible at like Slayer, which is like their first to 50 kills. But I'm having a lot of fun with this game, playing it. It's free to play, obviously. The biggest issue is, and that's the issue everybody's having, is the way you get experience points. Progression is awful. Where the only way you get, they did change it later on, where you every time you play a game you get 50 XP, but you don't get XP from just playing it naturally, progressing through the like getting kills or winning or anything like that. The only way you get XP is either you get 50 XP for winning or for playing a game, and then there's your weekly and daily challenges that you can do, which just kind of sucks because like it's very much like based off of like skills, which obviously I understand. Hey, like you know, obviously the better you are, the more XP you're gonna get, which makes sense. But there's no like you're not getting higher levels isn't giving you like you're not getting higher levels doesn't mean you're gonna be better. You're just unlocking more like cosmetic stuff or boosts, XP boost or things like that. Like you're not you're not unlocking better weapons or anything like that by progressing levels. It's very frustrating where I'm like I put like about 3 hours into this multiplayer just in the last 24 hours. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I literally on my last game just got to level 2
Wow.
after about a dozen games. Uh, and it's just like I said, a lot of the challenges are like you got to play the game a certain way. You got like it's like oh kill or blow up a warhog or blow up a chopper or um, things like that. And it's just like or like get 3 kills with this weapon. It's like oh I don't want to play the game that way, and I'm not even that good at this game to do these things anyways. So it kind of like it really sucks where it's like it's like I know it's maybe like people are just like well you're supposed to just play the game, but it's also like for me a lot of times like even when I'm not like okay I'm not doing well but at least I'm getting something out of it. We gamers are very simple people. We just want to see numbers go up. Like that's really what it is. Like we just I want to see numbers go up. I want to see you know doing well or even like just winning. You don't even get anything extra for winning. I feel like you should at least give me an extra 50 XP for winning a game. Things like that. Like it's the most frustrating part where you're playing it. It's just like all right, well, I sucked at this game, but it didn't really matter because I'm not going to get anything extra. Anyways, or when you're playing the game and people are like obviously doing challenges and they're not even like trying to help you win the game or doing anything like that. So it's just, I'm hoping they fix this soon because I want to keep playing this game. But it's like when I'm not like, I'm playing it and it's like, even when I'm doing well, it's like, I'm not like, there's really like, I get nothing extra for doing well at all. Like, there's nothing you're just working. You're trying very hard for no gain whatsoever. Maybe you get a challenge, um, but yeah. And then the other thing I've been playing Pokemon Pearl. About 3.5 hours in. I'm having a decent amount of fun with this. I'm enjoying it. I play these games mostly on nostalgia. Really, it kind of just brings you back. It's like nostalgia rush is just bringing you back to your childhood. I remember playing Pearl back in the day on DS, and it was like I completely missed Gen 3 and I jumped into Gen 4 and I remember I put like maybe 10 hours or so into it and fell off of it back in the day. And that was my last one I played until X and Y. Um, but so far so good. I'm having a good time with it. Obviously all the things they've added since then has made playing Pokemon games a lot easier, like XP shares and just a lot of improvements over time, speeding up things, just less grinding, all that. Like it's made a better time for me to um, play through this game. But yeah, other than that, I'm having a good time and keep playing it. But I'm very early on. Gables, what have you been playing?
So pretty much kind of piggybacking off of your last conversation in regards to the Pokemon games, I did go forth and start Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. I played Diamond back in the day. I played a hell of a lot of Pokemon Diamond back in the day. But for this, it was definitely an interesting return to nostalgia for me because I had played through Pokemon Platinum a few years back while I was going through the whole Pokemon game stint on my way to Sword and Shield. So for this one, I immediately noticed right then and there, like the look, the aesthetics of the game itself. It looked very soft, and like I'm not soft like in a negative way, but like felt it felt like kind of like almost like a fluffy sort of texture, sort of like a almost cell shaded kind of like foggy sort of look to it, which it was more or less kind of relaxing to look at, more so than it was like anything like terrible, in my honest opinion. It definitely looked like it was locked at like 30 frames or so from what
Hmm.
initially I was playing, from just starting up the going out through and starting up the main section, the story things for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, getting the first Pokemon, getting like capturing a few like different types of Pokemon. I did notice that there is a little bit of stoppage whenever you try to encounter a Pokemon. Like your character just stops in the middle of like the thing of grass, and all of a sudden, it's like a couple seconds later, all of a sudden you have that encounter with the Pokemon.
Hmm.
But it wasn't like anything really terrible in terms of functionality with the game in and of itself. From what I'm getting at so far, I'm getting a lot of good nostalgia from this game because I feel exactly how I kind of felt when I was playing Pokemon Platinum for the first time. I have decided to go and chose Chimchar as my starter because
Same Z's.
that's just the thing. Though I went with a grass starter when I first went through Diamond, I regretted it later because there was only options for like two other fire type Pokemon throughout that version of the game. That wasn't rectified until the release of Pokemon Platinum, when that had better variety of like say fire types you can choose from. So I've nicknamed it Sun Goku because it based off of like a couple of different things. One of them's that the story like Journey to the West, but I also did like a competitive build for a Infernape back around X and Y. I want to say no, I think it was X and Y. But yeah, I gave it the nickname Sun Goku, and it was pretty much one of the special attacking sort of Infernape that was sort of like a glass cannon where it had all sorts of various like special attacks. I say like with solar beam and flare, like flamethrower and this and that. But I'm don't have like a clear strategy right now with my team to go through the entirety of the story. Right now, I'm enjoying discovering what little tidbits and what little differences there are. Like for example, when you get your Pokédex for the first time and stuff,
Yeah.
in order to compensate for the lack of another touch screen and stuff like that, you get to hold like the R button or touch the R button. It'll bring it up. You can go through different types of features. It's interesting having it at the upper right hand corner. I can hold down the R button and it increases it larger and stuff. So I like it that way because even when you were playing Pokemon Diamond and Pearl back in the day, you would look at the bottom screen maybe sporadically, and it was just mostly just a big old menu for you to maybe check out which Pokemon that you had in your party, or like if you were doing something, say like hunting for shiny Pokemon, you can use that counter and stuff to say how many times you've encountered a certain Pokemon in the chain and this and that, because that was quintessentially what like hardcore Pokemon fans used to do back in the day when they were trying to not only do that, but also they were like effort value training of their creatures. I am a fan of when NPCs give out, like, say, TMs, like technical machines and stuff, they
Yeah.
don't give out one, they give out like multiples of like three, I've noticed so far. Like,
Huh.
well, here's a good example. During the first portion of the game, you go to this Pokemon Academy, right? And you face off against these two kids, and one of the kids will give you like a couple of like TMs, right? And it's like multiples of like the same TMs. This is for like workup. And so I go into my menu and I see I don't have one, but I have like three, you know.
Oh, okay.
It
I haven't looked at them, so I didn't know that. That's cool.
and the same thing applied when I went through that the cave earlier on before going into like before the first encounter with the first gym leader and stuff. They gave this the hiker gave me TM98, which is Rock Smash. But the thing about this, and what I actually learned from Tyler not too long ago, it's like when it comes to HMs, they actually programmed it through the Pokédex, so you don't have to go through the rigmarole of teaching your Pokemon certain hidden moves if you don't want to. I mean, granted, you may want to if you want just some of the novelty of it, I guess. But at that same point, you know, it defeats the purpose really of having your sixth slot occupied by a Pokemon that just does nothing but just HM moves.
Yeah.
But at the same point, that's a really good thing because part of the frustration of the older Pokemon games, when you had to use hidden moves, you had to dedicate a Pokemon to have learned all these moves or most of the moves, or sometimes two slots if you couldn't find a decent Pokemon that couldn't hold like most of the moves that you really needed at that time. So it gives you a little bit more variety of experimentation of what other Pokemon you want to put in your party. I've made it a priority right now to where I don't want to use like Zubat and its evolutionary line or Starly or its evolutionary line because they are pretty damn good Pokemon in terms of when they get fully evolved into their Pokemon respectively. But I want to try something a little bit different with my team. I know I want to keep my Chimchar and my Shinx because both of them are good base for a solid for like a solid team. Like both are like physical attackers in regards to their element type. So a good physical fire type Pokemon, a good physical electric type Pokemon. So I am going to be experimenting around and see if I can find any other Pokemon that could try to maybe bulk up some defenses or maybe support certain defenses. You know, it's going to be an interesting it's going to be interesting trial and error because, like I stated before, I hadn't played Pokemon Diamond or Pearl since like around 2019, and yeah, I'm kind of interested in just spending a little bit and see how I could just manipulate things to, you know, just try something a little bit different than I'm accustomed to. But I'm 3 hours in. I'm fairly much enjoying my time with Brilliant Diamond right now. I just haven't had enough time to go through and sit down because I've either been too tired or I've been so distracted by my my little dog that just loves to
Keep on
interrupt me
talking.
every morning whenever I try to sit down and play something before work, and I have like maybe a few hours, and it's like, oh no, love me,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Feed me.
exactly. It's just one of those things where, you know, it's out of my hands. But since it's the weekend for me, I'm definitely gonna have a little bit more time, and that's some more Brilliant Diamond stuff. So that's pretty much what I've been playing for this week.
Oh, very cool, Gables.
Mm.
Um, yeah. I actually had a really cool time where I was like the Iowa game. I was watching the Iowa game, but I was playing the Switch to handheld while I was
Yep.
watching the Iowa game. So very ultra nostalgic right there. Where like that was how I played a lot of a lot of it on my Game Boy and Game Boy Advance back in the day. It was playing handheld and watching on the weekends, watching football. So
Yep.
um, ultra nostalgic. Um, but guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. We'll be back here right after we get done with this outro here. We're gonna start up and do another episode. We're gonna go through the Game Awards. So if you like all that, you like us, if you want to see that episode, a little friendly reminder, follow us everywhere on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, wherever pods are cast, we're on it. Like, share, thumbs ups, 5 stars, comments, shares being the big ones for us. Let us all know if you like this show, and let other people know you like the show. Help us out. Every time we download the show, it gives us a couple cents towards buying a coffee from Starbucks. We really would appreciate that. So, yeah. Until next time, I was Hal.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, have fun with your life. Don't take life too seriously. But most important of all that, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the DrunkNerds podcast.
And hey, Gables.
Yep.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.